This is the week this thing turns over for the very first time. It's an absolute disaster inside of my brain, and the shop is a mess. Every 5 seconds I turn around. Hey, I even got tortillas and tostadas from a neighbor encouraging me to get the engine fired. This is very, very, very monumental. Today's video is all about Isaiah. Isaiah made his entrance. I guess that's the best way to introduce Isaiah. This is my dear friend Isaiah Duran. Oh, we're doing it. We're doing it live. You just entered in like a WWE. So Isaiah is here helping me. In fact, he's doing the vast majority of the fabrication necessary to make this vehicle run. He's overhauled the shop. We still have a lot of stuff to move.
Oh, there's still a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff to move to make sure that we can fabricate the tubing, the new proper exhaust manifold. It's gonna be sexy.
Yes, it's gonna be a very nice one.
It's gonna be very, very nice. The intake piping, downpipe, wastegates, all of that.
Yeah, just everything fabrication.
Just everything. He's gonna be hauling ass on all of that. I've got to work on these spark plugs and spark plug wires. One of the things I did is mounted the ECU. This is an M6000 from Adaptronic, and it is not mounted there to promote the name. It is nice, but that is not the main goal here. The main goal is this. I have to take this wiring harness and be able to see which wires are what quickly while this thing is being set up. And you can see there are a lot of wires. The harness that's on there now that is so pretty and meant for this engine is the ignition harness. The rest of these are injectors, temp sensors and pressure sensors, and position sensors. All the way down here, this one, and this one. And what easier than to be able to take a look at colors and confirmation of anything than right in your face. That is super nice. You can see this piece, again, is going to go to battery. It's going to go somewhere in here. The PDM was supposed to come in today. Did not. That's okay. Over here, you can see my very first attempt with some of the 3-rotor spark plugs and spark plug wires as a test. Obviously, they're going to be cut to length, but this front one just needs to go straight down to there. This one is going to continue to go over like this. I'm going to trim some of this material off of this piece, and then it will also come down to the bottom one. I'm going to start putting in some spark plugs to get the idea of how far out these have to go. Underneath this tape, as we briefly covered in the last video, that's where the oil fitting is in, and now we can see this does not get in the way. I was originally going to have this go over like that, and it was gaudy, but it worked, right? Well, that's not necessary. Trimming this material down saves everything. Just looks cleaner.
I don't want to disappoint you.
Oh, no. I'm the one that does the disappointing. Well, in this case, for all the women that we've both disappointed, they would be excited by this. This you could do your nails on, right?
No. The other one, the side one, yes.
Oh, the side one? Yeah, oh my God. That would rip your fingers off. This is basically, I think what we should name this channel is building a $1 million car with Harbor Freight tools. That seems to be what's going on here. Harbor Freight little stand there, Harbor Freight welding table back there, Harbor Freight bandsaw. And then, of course, Isaiah brings in nice stuff. Oh, I did get the JE or JR or whatever, the tube bender. That counts. It's not. Is it? It's a couple years old. It's done work. We're going to stick with the RX-8 plugs for the moment, just because the other ones are the ones when you go for nuttier fuel. We're going to go ahead. Maybe my GoPro is charged by now. I did a live stream, and I live streamed from the GoPro for Patreon until the battery died. It took an hour, and it did a damn good job, but it was dead. This setup's kind of funny because I'm wired in to my battery pack. It's actually a pretty clean setup as well. Obviously, they're not gapped or anything like that. I don't think that's too important at the moment. I swear to God, if anybody makes a joke about Gapperoni, Gapplebees, anything like that, you're getting banned from the channel. Oh, you don't understand how good this feels. Putting what? Isaiah, I'm filming for the other channel. You can ignore that part. Oh, it feels so good right now. It feels so. He's got to understand. Where does the 4-rotor money come from? My other Patreon, my Belle Delphine Patreon. I'm plugging those holes right now. I got instantly embarrassed because I realized what I was saying. I stand by that. And you can see the money just adding up as I go from rotor to rotor. Oh yeah. So yeah, right now I'm dealing with a problem right there. Is the CTSV battery is just dead, but the doors don't open. They're electric doors, and the battery's just shot to shit. That's why I stopped with that.
I need to go over there and clean the mess.
Yeah.
And everything's just like thrown, and I'm like,
It'll be nice once we get the rest of that area cleaned up, because you know right now we got a lot of stuff just sitting out because we're trying to find final places for it. All right, so I'm noticing a problem here that may become an issue. Is this leading spark plug on rotor number 1 is really close. And you know, one of the things that is important about this engine is to be able to service it like a stock engine. That is not going to happen, but the goal is to get as close as possible. Be able to check the spark plugs quickly without having to say, take the belt off and take an oil system off is kind of a preferable system. I would rather, though, have to do that than fuck with the oil system much more, because there's the rail, the chassis is right there. You know, it's either chassis hitting and then having problems that way, or just having to deal with the spark plug. I think my decision was made for me. Ooh, that is looking clean, clean, clean. This is essentially how it'll look on the bottom end, like that. Ooh. And each of them will do the same thing over and over. Well, less talking, more action, right? This little kit is going to take a little bit of work to get used to. Probably the easiest one is this one right here. No guesswork. Everything makes perfect sense. Pop it there. Probably give it just a little wiggle, just that little bit. We're going to need the vise for this part. This is kind of neat. I didn't see this before, but if I really wanted to label them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's awesome too. Getting the spirit. These might be long, but everything else is the length of the correct wire that we're going to be using. So you can imagine there is a lot of wire that needs to be sorted out on this entire block. Pop them in there. One of the things I really like about this kit is the nice clear sounding pop. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it just very clearly lets you know it's connected in. Interesting. I don't know what that one is. Minimizing any sort of magnetic interference between them. I guess we have to take my 3 rotor ones off. Oh, I know what that last wire was for. That's for a distributor cap. This kit comes with it all. I guess I will be labeling them because, like, for example, rotor 1 leading is a totally different wire length than all the others. Absolute anarchy. Oh, that's neat. I was wondering what the hell this was. You just pop it off like that? No. That was cool. It's like a shoehorn. Wow. Definitely comes with more than what's necessary. I'm going to start ruling out the things I don't need, and that's these larger fittings. They're supposed to be weatherproof, and that's what these smaller ones are. You can see the ribbed. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to be an adult. Those are just ribbed. These are not. Much girthier. Just going to stop there. This is the piece that goes on here. That should give you a nice little snap. That is what's behind the scenes inside of a spark plug wire. Really, the vast majority of the spark plug wire is just insulation. But this part isn't. Insulation is very clearly that's where the action's happening. Ultimately, you do get it kind of like that. Trim it down to about that size. Looks like a little stick of dynamite. And then the crimper, which I probably have dropped like a 17th time. Before I make the final cut there, I wanted to start way up here, have a fun practice. This is the full process, just way up here. As you can see, they're 8.5 millimeter, as said on the side. This little tool, one of these sides, this side, is for 8.5. Because of the type of end I'm using, this is for anybody that watches the video and wants to make their own spark plug wires, which is very gratifying, by the way. But you get to the edge right here. So this one ultimately is meant for that. If you use these gold ones, you go all the way to the edge here. something like that. Makes more sense. Small one, we're gonna go to right there. You actually take this. Go ahead and spin it. Curious to see what happens. Wow, that's nice and clean. Wow, that is awesome. Way easier than I expected. Well, that still seems long to me, but what do I know? I'm not the guy that makes spark plug wires. This is my first time. Looking at a spark plug wire from this side, the tip of this definitely goes all the way in. So having this wire be that long gets in the way of progress. So let me see. I'm actually going to look it up and look in their little notes why it's that long. I had gotten a little loose with how far I'm supposed to crimp it. And so in this case, it's supposed to be about right to there. You would go and pinch these down, use it with inside of this, crimp it in. Oh boy, can only just mess up a $100 kit this quickly. We'll go ahead and put this on it like that. Oh, we definitely need to take this off. Oh, that's why I got larger last time. Abracadabra. There is conductor. I used WD-40 to assist in this phase. It was a pain in the ass. Little red rocket sticking out right there. This will go something like that right there. And these are not like the fittings that can swivel. So you put it in this position, make sure you put it in the correct position. That's something I would mess up. We'll go ahead and throw this in the vise. Let's hope for the best. There we go. And that's just the crimping for the jacket. Now we gotta crimp the conductor. That could have been done a little bit cleaner. That's definitely not, it looks good. And then as for this, make sure that we crimp the conductor between these two. That is a very solid connection. I think the only thing I want to improve on is making sure the jacketed piece, while it's held in there even stronger than it could be, I think that could have been a better crimp. Let's go ahead and slide this back over. Please, pretty please, I don't know if I said please enough. Work. And here we go. And then the star of the hour right here, please work. Oh, that's on. Well, that is a little bit longer than I was expecting. And that little bit of trying to give it extra room makes a very big difference visually. While the camera was off, I very clearly hired somebody else to do all the hard work, right? Nope. I am turning over a new leaf, and that looks really good. This, I even tried making as much consistent, as symmetrical looking as possible. And these aren't all fully, in place. You can see that affects the lengths, but they are all identical lengths. And even taking into account that this coil needs to move back about back and forward half an inch, it'll make them all equal lengths. That looks pretty badass to me. It's weird seeing it because now it looks more like a race motor to me. I was just talking to Isaiah, he just left, as that you start seeing how complex things look just by adding each piece. I'm going to add in the oil pieces at the end of this video just to show you that all the shit that's going on all intersects, but you just look at one facet. You just look at the ignition, or you just look at the oil system. You just look at one piece at a time, and that's how you take on a project this large. This is fitting quite nicely. Like that. That's extremely, extremely clean. Awesome. That is nowhere near each other. In fact, that's probably the furthest a spark plug wire gets from the oil. That makes me very happy. The thing I'm saying that you might notice is that these angle down, coming from the side, they angle down. These angle straight out because they're 90-degree fittings. So are these, but the actual tap is on an angle. I do want to bring these up. So everything comes out at a 90. So this would be a what? 60? Isaiah, correct me. I was like 120. 120 would be further down. That's beefy. Obviously, just every day, we're going to make some major progress and keep moving. We've got the whole ignition system done. We've got oil lines figured out with the ignition system. That was a juggling thing to do. We've got the ECU mounted. We've got the ability to connect the ECU up to the engine, start testing sensors. This is nuts. I'm waiting on the fittings for the oil. That's a tomorrow thing. Fittings for this system so I can fix this. Pulleys so I can fix that. So this doesn't look like my penis after I see an LS motor. Limp, completely limp, dead, no emotion there. I can start running all these oil lines. I can put the starter in, connect it to the alternator. I am hoping for my PDM to come in. That's what's going in this blank space. Thank you, Taylor Swift. Blank spaces. PDM goes right there. That's where all the power makes its entrance. Oh my God, that looks so wild.